He stitched my wounds, not knowing he'd once held me as a baby. I was 23, living alone in Leeds, working part-time at a bookstore and struggling to keep up with university lectures when the car hit me hard. The next thing I remember was the sterile white light above the hospital bed and the faint scent of antiseptic. But more than that, I remember his voice, calm, assured, kind. He said, "You're going to be okay, love. I promise." I didn't know then that the man treating me, the tall, silver-haired, soft-spoken surgeon with tired eyes, wasn't just saving my life. He had given it to me 2 decades earlier. My name is Lila. I was adopted when I was 2 weeks old. My adoptive mom, Margaret, had always told me my birth parents were young and couldn't keep me. I never asked for more. I never looked back until this accident. Something about Dr. Daniel Carter felt familiar, not romantically, not even like family at first, just familiar in a way I couldn't explain. When I was discharged, I found myself revisiting the hospital, offering to volunteer just to see him again. One day, he dropped his phone and I saw a wallpaper photo of a baby one with the same birthmark as mine. My heart pounded. That couldn't be me. Could it? The more time I spent around him, the more I noticed things. The way he looked at me when I laughed, the strange tremble in his voice when I mentioned I was adopted, and the fact that he avoided eye contact when I asked about his past. My curiosity turned to obsession. I dug through my adoption papers, and for the first time, I saw a name I'd never noticed. Father, Daniel C. That night, I sobbed like a child, feeling everything: love, grief, betrayal. I confronted Margaret, who confessed that yes, he had been my biological father and he never knew. She had adopted me through a private agency after my birth mother passed during childbirth. She promised to tell him, but never did. The next day, I stood outside his office, hands shaking, and said, "Do you remember a woman named Rose Langdon?" His face paled. That was my mother's name. He whispered, "She died giving birth." I was told the baby didn't survive. I said, "I am the baby." What followed was a silence so heavy, I thought time stopped. His hands trembled as he reached for my face. "Lila?" He whispered. "My God, you have her eyes." We cried for hours. We walked the hospital gardens like strangers, trying to reconnect a lifetime we never shared. He told me about Rose, how they were madly in love in medical school, how her parents never approved, and how she had hidden the pregnancy. After she died, he was told the baby didn't survive. He never questioned it, buried his grief in work. That grief had turned him into a world-class surgeon, but left him a broken man. I told him about my life, the books I loved, the violin I played, and for the first time, he heard about the daughter he never knew he had. It wasn't easy. We had missed 23 years, but we had time now, or so I thought. 6 months later, I got a call. He had collapsed during surgery. Massive heart failure. The same heart that had carried him through loss, regret, and now, reunion. In his will, he left me a letter. Inside it said, "Finding you healed the part of me medicine never could. I saved hundreds of lives, but you saved mine." I still visit his grave every Sunday, violin in hand, playing the lullaby my adoptive mom once hummed, the same one he told me Rose sang when she was pregnant. And when I close my eyes, I swear I can feel his hand in mine, not as a doctor, not even just as a father, but as someone who finally found peace.